What's going on, everybody? Bulldog here. Welcome back to the channel. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It is the Tuesday following Thanksgiving. Hoping everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know I did. I got to spend time with the family. I had two different food comas, one on Thanksgiving and then the leftover day on Friday. I did not go out and battle the crowds for Black Friday. Oh, it's just too much stress on one person trying to get out there and wrestle over all the good deals that everybody says that they have on Black Friday. It's just not my thing. I've never been a Black Friday shopper. I've worked retail in the past. And no. That's all I gotta say is no. I remember back when I was a kid when Black Friday was the release date for the first ever Xbox. That in itself was murder, to say the least. It was a bad day, that Black Friday, when Xbox released their very first Xbox, and I can't remember what else was released the same day, but there was fist fights, gun fights, all sorts of craziness, man. But we're talking several years ago. Now it's just the latest toy for every good little girl and boy. But two food comas in one right after the other. I was a happy camper. Got to spend a lot of time with family, with Witch and the girls and Big D. But what I want to talk about is, the elephant in the closet. The logo has changed, which right now that logo is temporary. It is not the permanent one. I'm working on a better logo for Bulldog OTR. In fact, I actually, right after I made that one, I came up with a different design, different idea. In due time. I didn't spend a lot of time on my computer over the weekend. I did do some farm sim on Saturday and worked the Michigan farms, my solo map that I work on, and revamped my farm quite a bit. Eventually, hopefully, fingers crossed, I can pull off a recording and show off what I've done on Farm Sim. So as many as you know, the release date is this week for the Kansas DLC on American Truck Simulator. So a lot of good news in the gaming world. Now, speaking of the gaming world, the gaming side of who I am and what I do, my Twitch channel will still stay Bulldog Gaming. And for those that have come over here from Facebook, the Bulldog Live Gaming, or Bulldog Gaming Live Facebook channel that has been turned on, turned off, turned on, turned off, because trying to record to Facebook is sometimes good, sometimes bad. When you got a big crowd over there watching and this and that, it has its goods, it has its bads. But it is what it is. It was a thing. It was a big thing. There's still a lot of people that stream over to Facebook Live. did survive the first heavy snow of the year back home. We got 6.5 inches at the house, and the very next day, Sunday, I was actually out on the roads. I bobtailed all the way from the house to my pickup in Salina, Kansas, which is on the DLC. Not the place that I picked up at. It might be, I don't know. I did watch Jeff Favignano do a I-70 drive from Burlington, Colorado to, I believe, Kansas City metro areas, if I do remember right. But I did watch him do that, and got to see a little bit. There's some adjustments that they could do in the future for future revamp, rework. But for now, they did really good. I'm impressed. Just seeing the I-70 drive, I'm impressed. So releases on November 30th, which I believe is Thursday this week. I'm trying to get around FedEx, make sure I got enough room on lead room on him. So, all right, let's jump from the gaming side over to the OTR side. And for those of you that are new to the channel that don't know the acronym OTR, that is over the road, which is what you see here. You see that I'm on an interstate driving somewhere this morning. Well, at the time of the recording this morning, this will be later today. You guys get to see this if I remember when I stopped to take my 30-minute break. If not, it's Happy Wednesday to you. But no, jumping over here on the OTR side, talking about the snow that happened over the weekend, and the fact that I was back out on the road on Sunday, going to get my load. I did bobtail. Now, I want to talk about winter driving, because obviously the winter weather is upon us, and one of my major things that I like to talk about, because I do Weather Geek, I do consider it a safety factor of being out here on the road, because there's so much that could go wrong during things that happen with weather, and I'm talking just blue clear sky doesn't mean anything. So let's get into that. Winter weather driving is very treacherous. It requires a lot of skill, a lot of knowledge on how to drive in the winter weather. And I'm not saying, be man, be tough person and just go out there and do it just because you have the know-how. If the conditions render it, if it's bad enough, that load that's behind you is not worth your life. I'm telling you that from experience, from the fire side of things, from personal experience. Just don't do it. If the weather is severe enough and bad enough, and conditions have deteriorated more rapidly than you expected, don't do it. There's an old acronym, there's an old saying, not an acronym, but an old saying that, and I don't know if I'm quoting this right, that my dad used to tell me growing up: if you see spray, stay. If you don't see spray, get off the freeway. You don't see spray, that means you're on ice. That means the ground underneath you is frozen. And you have no stopping power on ice. You have no control on ice. And yes, it can be powder while you're driving, powder being snow. It can be powder when you're driving, but if there's been several other vehicles that have crossed through that section before you got there, by the time you get there, it is turning to ice. Because the snow's being melted by the warmth of your tires. The heat of your tires melts that snow, and if the weather is severe enough and cold enough, it'll start freezing literally within minutes of going through that section. And the more compact it is, the worse it's gonna be. Another thing is those snow drifts, even though it's powder, can cause you to have an accident. Can get you in places where you don't want to be. So a good rule of thumb is if it's bad enough that you're starting to see a lot of vehicles off in the ditch, and I'm not saying, oh, that car's been there for 6 weeks, kind of off in the ditch. I'm talking like this Hogan truck in front of me. If you took off into the ditch, yep, I'm going to start looking for a place to go park, because I don't want to wind up with him, beside him, into him, whatever the case may be. I want to go home at the end of my tour. I want to be able to go home with my equipment. I want to be able to stay in the piece of equipment that I drive. I want to keep it around as long as possible, because it costs me money, it costs my company money, it even costs taxpayers money. Because now you've got other people that are going to be out in it that are having to do things and be unsafe. It just boils down to heed the weather warnings when you start seeing the potential for heavy snow. Just heed those warnings. Listen to the weather, what the weatherman, weather lady is saying. Look ahead, like my video here a while back talking about using a weather app as part of your pre-trip. Get to know what's going on around you. You can use these weather apps and look ahead. Am I going to run into snow? Am I going to run into a possible icing issue? Am I going to run into severe weather? Severe weather doesn't care if it's winter, summer, spring, fall. It's going to happen. We've seen it all too many times with the tornadoes that have happened in December, November. I worked a weather event with high winds and the possibility of there was tornadoes with these storms the week before Christmas. And where I live, Mother Nature doesn't care. She'll throw at us what she wants, when she wants, and how she wants. I've already been looking ahead because lake effect snows are going to be happening. They started yesterday. They're going to be ongoing today. By know that there's lake effect snows going on up in northern PA, you know, and they're talking some heavy snow up in those areas that they're causing or can cause a lot of travel delays. Not only for us here on the ground, but also air traffic. You know, family members are returning back home from the holidays, from Thanksgiving. I was at a truck stop here the other day, and the young lady that was behind the counter was telling me that she was on her way back to school, because you know they take Thanksgiving off and then they go back for 2 weeks and then they're off for the Christmas break. So you know those students who are flying or driving, you know, they're affected. I do know this: on Saturday my mail didn't get delivered. Rain, sleet, snow, that went out the window, I guess, with the U.S. Postal Service in my area. The mailman never showed up on Saturday. He showed up on Sunday and delivered my mail, but I was already gone and on the road doing my thing. But yeah, he never showed, which is a good thing, because the weather was severe enough, it was bad enough, that he needed to stay home, stay warm, and be safe. So, but if you have to get out in it, and you understand the risks, just be cautious, be safe at what you're doing while you're doing it. The weather. Good job, Landstar. Just come over, no turn signal. The snowy weather is nothing to scoff at. I know in higher elevations in certain states that have mountainous locations, they require you to carry chains. Now, that right there is one of those things. If I got a chain up, I'm stopping. I'll put chains on my tires long enough to get me from point A to point B, and that's it. I've only had to put chains on my tires 2 times. The first time was I was in a dock unloading, and pulled in there. There was a pool of water where I was sitting, and it ended up freezing, hard freezing, and I couldn't get traction. So I didn't actually chain. I threw my chains down to grab traction. Second time that I chained up is I chained up to go from the interstate to the parking lot out on I-80 going, I was in Laramie, Wyoming, and I started my day in Rawlins, Wyoming. Day like this, I went up over the mountain, and by the time I got over and descended down into the valley, I was running into spinning snow covering the road. By the time I got to, I believe I was 4 miles outside of Laramie, there was four big trucks that had went off into the median, one that had went off into the ditch, and there was one that was on the westbound side that had completely blocked the interstate. This is back when CBs were a thing, a constant thing, and people were listening and heeding the warnings of what was going on and what was happening out of the interstate. And I had already heard through the grapevine, through the CB, that they were closing the interstate from Laramie to Cheyenne, Wyoming. But the snow was so bad by the time I got to Laramie, got 4 miles outside of Laramie, I had to stop, put a set of axle chains on, which is on my drive, to get down the off ramp, go under the bridge, pull into the truck stop parking lot and find a parking space, which ended up being a pull through. And then I removed my chains and called it a day. I literally got maybe 100 miles. I called my dispatcher, told her what was up, and she said, "Good, glad you parked." That was it. They rescheduled my offload time in Kansas City. They put my load on hold at my receiver in Kansas City, and they said as soon as I was able to get back out on the interstate and start driving, to call ahead. They gave me a direct number to the receiver, to the receiving supervisor, and I called ahead, told them, "Hey, I'm on the road." ETA was gave myself 9 hours to get there, and they're like, "Okay, we'll see you at tomorrow morning. We'll have you bump the dock first thing in the morning." I was like, "Okay, cool." So always be conscious of what's going on. Understand that over that rise over there, though we don't see it, there could be something on the other side that is adverse weather. Now, don't get me wrong, that's 6 miles out my front door. I got blue clear skies. Again, I said don't trust it. But I know it's not snowing right now over there. But on the other side of that hill, it's cold enough. It's 29 degrees. That over on the other side of that hill, there could have been moisture that was on the ground, and there could be black ice. Black ice is an ice that is clear. You cannot see it until you're on it, because it looks like you're just driving on this dry pavement. It looks dry. And black ice is killer. I've worked out in western Kansas when I was an EMT. I worked what we called and dubbed the black ice death. And it was just because for the fact that they didn't see it, I didn't see it, the sheriff's department didn't see it, KDOT didn't see it, but there was enough black ice stretched in a shady area on the highway that black ice formed, and it ended up being a fatality because of the mechanism of injury and the mechanism of the accident. So, yeah, it's those things that you have to be aware. You have to understand. Just because it's blue clear today doesn't mean something on the other side is healthy for you. pay attention, slow down. That is another big key factor when driving in any kind of weather. Is slow down, know your surroundings, know what's going on in front of you, know what's going on beside you. Always be weather aware and situational aware of every situation, every aspect of the weather. Know what's going on in front of you. And never said this before, but know what's going on behind you. Because what's behind you can catch up to you and cause you issues. So, know what's going on around you, weather-wise, always. Know what's going on around you, traffic-wise, always. Be prepared, be weather-aware, and you'll be safe. So, take it easy, y'all. Safe travels, and we'll catch you on the next one.